All right. Well, I just got done watching the OpenAI announcement of GPT-4o, and that was pretty cool. There was a lot, not a ton that was said, but it honestly didn't have to be said. It just had to be shown. And as soon as it was shown, it was pretty obvious that uh, they've been working hard. There's a lot of cool stuff, and that the model is just getting so much better and faster. So I'm just going to break it all down step by step, real quick. The first thing was uh, that they have a desktop app, and that's pretty great. That makes a lot of sense. There's updates to the UI, but of course, the big thing was GPT 4o. And they said that they were kind of combining a lot of models together so they could run all these things much faster. Um, and they said it was going to be available for everybody, which is pretty cool. GPT-4 is currently not available to everybody. You have to pay for it, but having O available to everyone is going to really help people, get a chance to use it and experience it and get all those great features, which is pretty cool. The thing I was most interested in hearing about was how O was going to be integrated into the API, which they said was going to be, well, first they said it was going to be 2x faster, which is really, really great. But they also said it was going to be 50% cheaper. And I assume that was 50% cheaper than Turbo. Everything I think they were talking about was in relation to Turbo. So, uh, so they got that, which I thought was interesting as well. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it's like still like a very affordable all LLM compared to other LLMs that are out there. I mean, it's not as cheap as GPT 3.5, which I use a lot for a lot of things I do, um, because GPT-4 is just super expensive, and 3.5 I tend to get away with, pretty reasonably well. So O is still 10 times more expensive than that, but that's a very noticeable decrease in cost, which is nice to see. So the fact that it's half the price of Turbo is I think it would be huge, and it sounds like they're just going to be getting cheaper over time. So I'm excited to see kind of how that goes. So let's see. All right, the live demos they did were super cool. The fact that you can share your screen with OpenAI and they can get some information that way, I thought was really impressive. That's going to be a game changer, I think, in the way that we use these LLMs and the way that we interact with, what OpenAI is releasing, and quite frankly, something that's going to become more standard. OpenAI is they're above everybody else. Like I know there's like LM models that are good, but like what OpenAI is doing just always seems to be steps above what others are doing. I just don't see like a true competitor in that space that can go toe to toe with what they're pulling off. Again, there are LLMs that are great, but are we seeing these kind of evolutions from other companies? I just don't see them right now. So, um, Vision, okay, that was the whole thing of just like using your camera is amazing, as well. It's like what Microsoft was showing us, but then they were like, actually, it wasn't real, and OpenAI kind of came out and was like, actually, it is real, and here it is. So I'm not sure how that like that dichotomy is going between one of OpenAI's biggest investors and what Microsoft tried to pull off and what OpenAI actually did pull off in real time, which was pretty cool. Okay, that translation. They did a translation demo where one person was talking in one language and it was immediately turning into the other. And the thing I thought was actually kind of cool about it was they gave the instruction to say, if I say something in English, just translate immediately to Italian and vice versa. And what that kind of did was for me was like, well, you can actually like kind of create your own interface here, right? And you can already do that in other cases, but like with this one, I thought it was interesting with translation because there are already translating apps that kind of do this same thing, but that's all they can do, right? And so let's say you wanted to add like a feature to that translating app, you just had to wait for the developers to build it. But in this one, you can actually set some parameters and say, do it like this. So if you wanted to do a little bit different, it could do it. You want to do it in two languages. You want it to, I don't know what else you would want to do. I don't get in that situation very often, but I could just see it in other cases where it's like, I actually want you to do it like this, do it in this structure, and it'll follow it for you. So you can kind of build your own experience as you go, which I think is really, really, really cool. Okay, the emotion detection was interesting as well. I know companies that do this, like that's part of what they have built is emotion detection. And I wonder how this is going to play into those companies that have already built this. It just seems like such a low hanging bar now for everybody else to kind of get emotion detection in there. And you think about this with doctors, you think about this with therapy, all those kinds of things, which reminds me tone, the fact that it could pick up tone, but then also pass back tone was pretty like it was almost like cool and weird at the same time. Kind of one of that first feeling where you thought, oh, ChatGPT is like going to revolutionize it, but then you like say this sinking feeling like, oh my gosh, am I like going to be replaced? It was kind of like that a little bit. My kids just watched Mitchell's versus the Machines, and if you remember the AI phone there that would have like all these emotions, it was kind of like watching that happen in front of me, and I was like, I know how that movie ends, and it wasn't great. So that was interesting. I've got some. I'm not sure how I'm gonna feel about that. Later when I'm trying to have this conversation. However, I did wonder, like, what if I'm stressed one day and I'm coming home? And what I've already been doing is I've had ChatGPT open on my phone, and I'll just have conversations with it as I'm driving around. Kind of gets my mind going, some brainstorming, things like that. But then I thought, well, what if I'm having like a hard day? What if I'm like sad about something, or what if I'm stressed? Like, is it going to pick up on that? Is it going to change the response based on my tone? And then furthermore, if it's like recording me, if I'm having it record my face, is it going to pick up on these nuances? One thing I will say that I've always had a problem with when it comes to voice is how fast I have to speak. Like I can't pause. And if I pause, it starts talking back. The interruption feature that they've added in is helpful where you can just talk over it and it'll stop and listen to you. But I do feel very rushed. And I did watching them, I felt like the presenters were also rushed when talking to GPT. Um, so that was interesting. Again, kind of like that. Wow, that's super cool, but also like kind of weird. But overall, it was a super impressive um, demo right out of the box. They did say it's rolling out over the next couple of weeks, so we're not going to see it today. Um, but all in all, I'm super excited. I think that's pretty amazing, and it does make me kind of rethink my workflows and building these AI components. Especially that it was doing all the data analysis right there, and more so. So anyway, I do wonder. I do work in a HIPAA compliant environment, and so I do wonder how HIPAA if this is HIPAA compliant or not as well. Which I'm gonna guess like right out of the box, it's not. I don't think they really go that route, but I could be wrong. So we'll see. All right, that's all I've got. That's my reaction to it. Overall, I felt impressed. I think that's the word for it. I was just very impressed with all that they were introducing and the kind of the next level feel that they were bringing on. So really excited. I started developing when the App Store came out on iPhone, and this had a very similar feel to that, where it's like, wow, look how much is being brought. So we'll see how that goes coming forward. Talk to you all later. See ya.